Welcome! Today we're going to be legal detectives, diving headfirst into a mystery that's about 1,500 years old, straight from the Talmud. Now on the surface, it looks like a simple little puzzle, but trust me, it unfolds into an absolute masterclass in logical reasoning. So let's get right into it.
So our whole case kicks off with this really fundamental question. You've got this incredibly detailed world of ancient temple rituals. So why the big deal about the right hand? Was it just, a random tradition, or was there some kind of precise legal code making it all happen? It's time to start gathering the clues.
All right, like any good investigation, we have to start with our first major clue. The ancient sages, they're looking at the biblical text, and they're trying to set up a nice, clear, straightforward rule that can just explain everything.
And here it is, our starting hypothesis from Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Seems pretty cut and dry, right? If a ritual involves a finger or it involves the priesthood, you gotta use the right hand. Simple. But as any good detective knows, the first reading of a clue, well, it can be a little misleading.
And bam, right away we hit our first problem, a little ambiguity. Does the verse need to mention both finger and priesthood for this rule to kick in, or is just one of them enough? Is it an or situation? This little distinction is absolutely crucial, and honestly, it's where our investigation really gets going.
So let's put that and theory to the test with our first piece of evidence. We're looking at the ritual of taking a handful of a meal offering. Now the verse for this one, it only mentions priesthood. There's no mention of a finger. But the established ruling is that it has to be done with the right hand. So, case closed on that theory. The and idea just doesn't hold up to the facts.
Okay, so with the and theory officially debunked, another sage, Rava, he steps into the picture to clarify things. He says, no, the rule is either or. If the verse mentions either finger or priesthood, then the right hand is required. Now this seems a lot stronger. It fits our first piece of evidence perfectly.
But just when we think we've got a solid theory, that we've kind of cracked it, a new detective enters the scene. His name is Abbe, and he is not convinced. He brings a piece of evidence that seems to blow the whole case wide open.
Get a load of this. This piece of evidence just completely torpedoes our neat little either-or theory. The ritual of carrying limbs to the altar, it explicitly mentions the priesthood. So according to Rava's rule, this should mean you have to use the right hand. And yet, the established practice allowed the left hand. This is a flat-out contradiction. Our theory needs a major rewrite.
So to save the theory, they introduce a new layer of complexity. The rule. The sages now propose it only applies to actions that are indispensable to atonement. We're talking about the absolute make-or-break moments of a ritual, things that if you don't do them, the whole thing is invalid. Carrying the limbs? Turns out, that's not indispensable. Taking the handful? That is indispensable. Okay, this new distinction, it seems to fix the contradiction. And right here, this is where our case takes its most fascinating turn. Just when our newly refined theory seems to explain everything perfectly, we run into one single figure whose opinion seems to defy all logic, Rabbi Shimon.
Just look at this evidence. Collecting the blood is absolutely 100% indispensable. The verse mentions priesthood. Our fancy refined theory says this must require the right hand. But then Rabbi Shimon comes along and rules that the left hand is perfectly valid. This isn't just a little hiccup. This seems to shatter the very foundation of the rule we've been so carefully building.
And this just brilliantly lays out the heart of the puzzle. How can one person hold both of these views? On the one hand, he's saying priesthood by itself isn't enough to force the use of the right hand. But on the other hand, he says that finger by itself always is. It seems totally inconsistent. Are we missing some kind of hidden logic here?
Yes, we are. And this is the real genius of the Talmudic method. It's time to crack this case. Not by looking for a simple, one-size-fits-all rule, but for a more elegant, more nuanced system that makes Rabbi Shimon's view perfectly, logically consistent.
So here's the crucial aha moment. Rabbi Shimon's logic, it isn't symmetrical. It's really a two-step rule. Think of the word finger as a super powerful trigger. If that word is in the verse, boom, the right hand is an absolute requirement, no other conditions needed. But the word priesthood, that's a weaker trigger. If it shows up all by itself, it does not mandate the right hand. And just like that, the contradiction is resolved. It's beautiful.
Okay, we have a beautiful theory, but every theory has to be tested, right? There is one last ritual to think about, sprinkling the blood. Now, its verse only mentions priesthood, and the standard ruling is that it requires the right hand. So, does Rabbi Shimon agree with that? Because if he does, he'd be contradicting his own logic.
And look who it is, Abai, our detective from earlier. He comes in and delivers the final, decisive piece of evidence. He points out that in a whole other text, a Baraita, Rabbi Shimon is perfectly consistent. He rules that for both collecting and sprinkling the blood, two rituals where only priesthood is mentioned, the left hand is totally valid. Our theory holds. The system is logically sound.
So, what does this all add up to? Let's zoom out. This entire exercise, this really deep dive into hands and rituals and verses, it was never just about the rules themselves. It was about the process. It was about the art of the argument.
You see, what we've just witnessed are the core principles of this whole intellectual tradition. Every single word matters. Every piece of evidence, every conflicting opinion, it all has to be accounted for. The goal isn't just to find an answer. It's to build a totally coherent system where every single component fits together without any contradiction.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This ancient legal puzzle is such a powerful model for thinking. I mean, in our own world, which is filled with complex laws and contracts and all sorts of codes, how often do we just settle for the easy answer instead of pushing through the contradictions to find a deeper, more consistent logic? This 1,500-year-old debate reminds us that the rigorous, relentless pursuit of understanding, well, that's a truly timeless art.